So what I'm going to do today is show you a really fun way to make some brilliant skulls. I love this method. I'm going to be using these little glass, well, they're not glass, they're plastic beads. I will link them in the description below. The first one I'm going to make, I'm going to be using the clear ones and some little cogs that I've made using a cog mold. I'll link that in the description below. I make loads of these when I've got leftover resin and I use them ever such a lot. So these ones are going to be used with these clear ones because all I want them to do is actually distort this, and you'll see what I mean in a second. So first thing I need to do is mix up my resin. Now I'm going to be using a 4-hour demold resin for this because I want this to work fairly quickly. So I've got that measured out. I'm going to give it a quick mix. Well, not a quick mix. I'm going to mix that for 4 minutes on a medium speed because I don't want to add too many bubbles in it. Because that's a thick resin, then you're more likely to add bubbles into it. But using the mixer that I use, the Resiners double mixer, actually it doesn't tend to mix so many bubbles into it than when you're doing it by hand. So I'm going to let that mix around. As you can see, I've got 3 lights on here now. I charged this about 2 months ago. You can use it while it's charging, but I charged this about 2 months ago and I use it all the time because it's so much better on your hands. And it's still got 3 bars left on it. Lasts for ages. And as you can see, that is mixing at quite a nice speed. Let's see if I can show you there. It doesn't really show you, but that is mixing at quite a nice speed, and it will reduce the amount of bubbles that that's going to put into it. So this is nearly finished now, but as you can see, my actual jug is starting to move around. I'm trying to make it do it a little bit more on the mat. Now, if you find that this is happening to you, it's because your mat has got quite a bit of grease or dirt on it or resin on it. It's really easy to solve. Just take your resin off, take your mat off like that. You can see how dirty that is. Just get a baby wipe and go over that and give it a bit of a clean. It's just got dust and a bit of grease on there. And look how dirty that is. Give it a bit of a clean. Then once that's clean, very little amount of 99% alcohol just to go over there and take off any residue that is on that mat. Dry that off and then that will stop that happening. There we go. I've now got a jug that's not moving at all. Easy fix for that. I know a couple of people have asked me about it. Unlike some mixers, this has been going and going and going and going, and it hasn't broken down at all ever. Love it. That's at its 4 minutes. I can turn that off now, lift up my top as well so that that resin can run off into there. And as you can see, there's hardly any bubbles in that. I'll show you a bit better in a minute. Always clean your paddle as well once it's finished before it cures on there. It's much easier. And use a baby wipe. That's all I use for it. Whichever mixer you're using, even if you're using a different mixer or a mixing stick or anything, it's always better to clean that off straight away. Firstly, it makes it last a lot longer. You're not damaging your product. Secondly, it's easier to come off. And thirdly, it's ready to use again in it straight away. There we go, nice and clean. So look at that, nice thick resin, hardly any bubbles in that whatsoever. So now what I'm going to do is pour some of this into this skull. Up to about that level does me fine. I've done it to about that deep. And now what I'm going to do is pour some of these gems in. I will get them everywhere. There is no doubt about it. And then give them a mix in. So I've poured those gems in there and I've given them a mix in there. I might have a few more in that one. Yeah, I can fit a few more in. Now mixing them gems in there and pouring them in there will have created some bubbles in there. But I don't mind about that. I'm not going to worry about that because I think they are going to add to the deliciousness of what this looks like. And all they'll do is they'll make that quite distorted in there. So anything I now put in there, you're going to see it, but it's going to be distorted. And that's what I'm looking for. And I'm pushing these in at all different angles. And because those beads, or them gems are in there, they should stay at the angles that I'm putting them in at. Some I'm putting right at the edge. Some I'm putting in the middle. I'm putting them at different depths. And you don't have to use cogs for this. You could use flowers, you could use bears, you could, well, anything that you wanted to, really. So there we go. I've got enough of those in there now. And what I'm going to do is put that to one side and let that cure up. Enough for me to put the next layer on. Now for this one, I'm going to be using these multicolored ones. So again, I'm going to pop a little bit of resin in there. And all I'm going to be adding is these multicolored ones. I'm not adding any cogs or anything else to it. Give those a little stir in. There we go. And then we'll let those cure up. And then I'll show you what I'm going to do next. Well, these have cured enough now for me to be able to put my next layer of resin on. I'm not going to be using the 4-hour cure resin because this is too deep now for that. And it has a chance it might flash cure that deep. So what I'm going to be using is a 1-to-1 resin. I don't need to use a deep pour resin. It's not that deep to warrant that. And I'm going to change over my blade because I'm going to mix up a little bit more from the smaller one to the larger one. And you get the sets of blades come with this mixer, so you don't have to worry about buying extra ones. So that's all mixed up now, and I can remove my paddle from it. Now I'm going to mix some glitter in it, but I don't mix my glitter in when I'm using the spatula. I do that by hand afterwards. And the reason is I find it is almost, I don't know about you, but I find it is almost impossible to get every bit of glitter off anywhere. And I don't want it contaminating my next piece. Again, I'm going to just quickly clean my large paddle up, ready for use for next time, using a baby wipe, and then I can mix my glitter in. The first one I'm going to do is this one, which is the multicolored one, and I'm going to do that using the Resin's ultra fine glitter because I know this doesn't sink. I'm going to put quite a bit in. It really does stay suspended lovely. I'm going to mix that round to make sure I've got it all mixed in lovely. I've put quite a lot in there because I want it to be quite not real completely solid, but I want it to be quite opaque. So now I've got that all in there, I can pour that into my mold like that, and then put that to one side to cure. This one, I'm going to use a red glitter, but I don't want so much glitter in it. I want it to be spread out a little bit more, but I still want the actual resin to be red. So I'm using a translucent colour pigment in here to give that a bit of colour first. I'm going to mix that in thoroughly, just so it takes on a bit of the colour. And now I'm going to sprinkle some of this glitter in it. Nowhere near as much, as you can see. Make sure that's evenly distributed. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. I'm pouring that in slowly right to the top. There we are. I'll leave that and let any bubbles come to the top. Burn them off with a long neck lighter. And then I can leave that overnight to cure. These are all cured now and ready to demold. So I'm going to demold the little one first. Look at that. I love it. I love the way that has come out. And it is showing how well it looks in there. It's a great little mould. I can't remember where I got that one from. And look at that, the glitter stays fully suspended as well. That is what's really important about a micro glitter, that it stays fully suspended. Because what would happen with the poorer quality micro glitter is they all sink down and then you get a clear bit here and then you get a really thick bit of glitter there. But that has come out great. So let's have a look at this one. Now this is going to look quite different because we used clear ones for this. And I wanted it just to distort those cogs. There's so much you can do with these molds, and I've used them quite a lot and shown different methods. So there we go. Oh yeah, that has come out really well. So it's got a nice distortion of those cogs, but the red is still showing well, which is what I wanted. But can you see how nicely distorted they look? And the cogs are still visible. And again, that glitter hasn't sunk down. It has stayed very well suspended all the way throughout, which is what we were looking for. Very important. You can also get larger of these crystals as well, so that would give you a slightly different effect. But I'm really pleased with that. It allows you to get that distorted effect, but it also allows you to have all your cogs and different bits and pieces at different levels and stay where they were put. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I love showing different ways of using these skulls. Be sure to check out those glitters. I will link them in the description below. Check out the video I've got coming up next if you want to see what else you can do with these skulls, which is great. Boot that like button, hit that subscribe button, but most of all, enjoy your resin. Take care. Bye.